Some strength seen, the Nifty bank higher by about 100 points, the mid-cap index higher by about 50 points as well. So we'll focus on individual stocks, and one of them is Time Technoplast. Remember, the company has entered into an agreement with Confidence Petro, and this is for composite cylinder manufacturing. This is to provide and promote blast-proof cylinders. We have Anil Jain, the MD of the company, joining in on the phone line. Thanks a lot, Mr. Jain, for joining in. First up, the street is fairly excited about the prospects for this business.
I think Mangalam, the street is excited.
Exactly. Before Mr. Jain could have spoken, the stock is at the high point of the day.
The stock has moved up, yeah.
Mr. Jain, the street will definitely be listening to every word that you're saying.
Right,
so, yeah, okay. First up, how much money do you make on these cylinders any which way? Because the last time we saw it was close to around 29-30% of your revenues coming in from composite cylinders. If you could tell us how much of this comes from India, and what does this deal do for you? Because Confidence Petro, not sure what sort of market share they have.
Okay, I'll just tell you, first of all, thank you for having me on the program. Composite cylinder is one of our very interesting products, actually. This is a technology we brought Europe and brought it over to India, and we expanded the capacity, which is now currently standing at 1.4 million cylinders a year. We have been, up till now, exporting most of our cylinders. They are approved in 58 countries, and we are exporting it to 30 countries. In India, we launched it with Reliance Gas earlier on, and then later on HPCL took a pilot project. But in India, it was not really getting very popular for a variety of reasons. So we entered into an agreement with GoGas, as they have a plan to bring LPG countrywide. Now you know that the playing fields have been leveled after the GST has come in. So the private players are coming into the LPG distribution. So they have a very, very ambitious plan. They already have presence in 14 states, and they now will bring in LPG to households in various cities and towns. So we have tied up with them so that they can actually bring their brand of GoGas Elite in composite cylinder. As you know, the composite cylinders are lightweight. They're completely,
No, we understand. We know the benefits of the composite cylinder, Mr. Jain. Just a couple of questions. You said that Confidence Petro is who you've tied up with. You have a capacity of 1.4 million. One, how much of your volumes do you supply in India right now? What sort of volumes do you give to Reliance Gas? Because that's the company that you tied up with. And how much is, in terms of volumes, that Confidence Petro itself does right now?
Okay, I mean, the Reliance Gas, we did a very, very small quantity some time ago, but they did not pursue it. Insofar as Confidence Petroleum is concerned, we have tied up. They have a plan to buy something like 300,000 cylinders in a year, which is almost about, let us say, 30% of our capacity. In terms of revenue, we have done in 9 months in the composite cylinders. So just to come back to this one, composite cylinders currently are about 5% of our total revenue. And in this year, we would be actually doing composite cylinders total business to be about 140 or 150 crores.
140 and 150 crores. All right. What's this agreement, Mr. Jain, that you have done with, with GoGas, as you're telling us, and Confidence Petroleum? Will you be manufacturing, or will you just be selling these composite cylinders?
No, actually, we manufacture a composite cylinder. They have a special type and the capacity, so we'll be supplying it to them. They, in turn, will fill the LPG. They've got a lot of filling stations countrywide, and will be marketing under their own brand. So our tie with them is to manufacture and supply them the cylinders.
But you have capacity of 1.4, right? Is it fully booked out, or do you have some spare capacity?
No, we have a headroom available there. But yes, we are in the process of getting some additional orders from overseas. But this capacity that they require, we'll be able to carve it out for them.
Why is it that, the bigger players, something like an HPCL, IOC, Bharat Gas, all of them are not going for your composite cylinders? Is there any particular reason? Because you're talking about the benefits of these products. I'm sure, these companies are also looking at it. Why is it that you have to speak to someone like a Confidence Petro or maybe Reliance Gas, who are not as large players as the existing players for this?
Great, you asked that question, actually, and very timely, because we just were reading in the newspapers yesterday that HPCL, who did a pilot project 2 years ago, has now got the permission of Government of India for launching LPG in composite cylinders countrywide. So we are very excited about that. We were, of course, the supplier of composite cylinders to them at that time. And if they go in all India basis, we also have reasons to believe that other OMCs are also looking at composite cylinders. I mean, their demand is much, much higher. The total population of cylinder in India is about 320 million.
Okay.
And they buy about 70 to 80 million cylinders every year.
Okay. Mr. Jain, how much does composite cylinders contribute to your total revenues? You said 5%, I think?
At the present, yes, it is only 5%.
So I think we have discussed that for a longish bit. Let's move on. Quickly, if you could tell us value-added products as a percentage of your total revenues. I think you were planning on moving it to nearly around 20% of your revenues, right? What is it at currently?
You're right, absolutely. In the Q3, we have actually recorded our value-added business to be about 20% of our total revenue.
Okay.
And this has moved up gradually, and we expect in next year it'll move up to 25%.
25%.
But let's not forget that our business is also growing.
Okay.
Therefore, the contribution of business will not.
What about, Mr. Jain, what about the ROC? I remember you were talking about it moving higher by, I think, 150 to 200 basis points every year. Is that still on the cards? What is it at currently?
It is very much on the card, and we have projected that by year 2021, our ROC will be on the other side of 20%, and we are well on our way to do that.
And currently the ROC is at?
I think it's close to about 15%, 15 point some percent. I don't exactly know.
15 point, okay.
All right, you say the value-added products were 20% of your total revenue, but that is not reflecting in your margins, because the first 9 months your margins have actually come off by 100 basis points. So what is the likelihood of margins improving for this year and the year after that?
I mean, if you actually look at the Q2, we had a margin going down to 13%. So we have moved about 1.5% in Q3. But that is also a carryover effect of Q2. And secondly, it is also the mix of our products. There are some products like PE pipes, etc., where historically the EBITDA margins are lower. And if that business has grown at about 60%, so the consolidated EBITDA margin are looking a little smaller.
Okay.
But yes, we are expecting in Q4 this to improve further, and will be on the other side of 15%.
Mr. Jain, so you're expecting the margins to improve going ahead. We'll wait by for Q4 numbers. But finally, before we let you go, this has been the question on everyone's minds. I remember when the markets were in that bull phase, the stock had run up and you had sold 2% in the open market. You had said that at some point of time you may buy it. Buy back this 2% on. Let's pull up a chart of your stock. The stock is halved, I think, from the recent peak. Now, do you think you'll go ahead and buy that 2% back?
As a matter of fact, we had planned that we will be buying them back over a period of 3 to 4 years. We are still halfway down there.
But you're not. But have you bought half of that?
No, not yet. But I wouldn't say that it is not beyond us. We will be
because the stock price is down from 200 odd rupees that I remember, 207, 208 a couple of years ago, now to around 90. If you're not willing to buy now, and you're talking about the prospects of this business looking fairly strong, so when exactly are you planning?
As a matter of fact, those funds which we had raised at that time are engaged in a certain business. We are expecting the cash flow to come out from there, and that will be used for buying to bring our shareholding back to what it used to be.
Okay.
But frankly, we are not in a terrible hurry to do that.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much, Mr. Jain. We'll touch base with you at the end of Q4. By the way, we have the SR Steel case as an update coming in there. The COC, I think the NCLT has directed the NCLT Ahmedabad to pass final orders by March 8th. So that's the update that's coming in there. And the COC again has moved NCLAT. They've seek that this particular case gets resolved as soon as possible. I think Ashmit is on the phone line. Yeah, all right. Ashmit, fill us in with all these details.
So the COC backed by Arcelor again raised concerns before the NCLAT. Their concern essentially was that as opposed to the direction of the NCLAT, that only one representative for the operations creditors will be heard. Their complaint was that individual applications by individual operations creditors is also being heard, applications that have been termed as innocuous, applications that are now delaying the entire process. And as far as the delay is concerned, important to keep in mind that today, February 28th, was the deadline that the NCLAT had given NCLT Ahmedabad to come out with final orders. Now, as of today, the concerns that have been expressed by the COC and Arcelor have been taken note of, they have been taken cognizance of, and the NCLAT, as a final extension of sorts, has given now time till March 8th for NCLT Ahmedabad to conclude arguments and to pass final orders. Now, he hasn't said so in as many words, but there have been previous instances where the NCLAT has warned that if that deadline is not met, they could take over the proceedings. But let's keep in mind that this is the third extension that has been given. The next key date to watch for will be March 8th.
All right, Ashmit, thanks a lot for that. Next key date to watch will be March 8th. A lot of people rooting for the expedition of this case itself.
Well, let's focus on Odisha Cement. That stock, in fact, is under pressure today. Remember, that's Dalmia Bharat. It will be renamed in the next couple of months or so. What's the news? Yesterday, post-market, surprisingly, we got news from on the exchange that the company says that mutual funds valued at around 340 crores. They had illegally and unauthorized. It was transferred by their DP from their demat account. Now, that's not good news. Let's play out a couple of cases. One is case one. It gets resolved. No issues. The money comes back and life moves on. But the bigger problem is case two. What if it doesn't come back? And in fact, there'll be various questions that will be asked, because 340 crores is a rather large number. In terms of the total gross debt, it's more than 6,000 crores. So it amounts to nearly around 5% of their gross debt. Net debt is nearly around 3,500 crores or thereabouts. It's nearly around, 10% of their net debt, and even cash in their books. They say it's around 3,200 crores. So it's a rather large number. Now, there was a SEBI order that came out yesterday in terms of Allied Financial Services Private Limited. They're saying that the broker has used some of these shares as collateral to go ahead and trade in the F&O market and use it as F&O margin. So that's one point out there. But in the SEBI order itself, they're saying that there was a complaint received from the Dalmia Group on February 7th. The bigger question shareholders are asking, why wasn't this disclosed on February 7th itself? Why did you get this release on the exchange yesterday when you had filed a complaint with SEBI on February 7th itself? So plenty of unanswered questions. The street will be hoping that this gets resolved. But otherwise, it's down 4.5%, Mangalam. It's not available in the F&O market. I guess if it was there in the F&O market, it would have been taken to the cleaners.
Absolutely, Nigel. A lot of unanswered questions. 5% of the total debt, 10% of the company's total cash moving away mysteriously, and the management not declaring to the exchanges when they wrote to the SEBI.